Okay, today I want to talk about something very important. The difference between shock trauma and developmental trauma, also called complex post-traumatic stress disorder. One is called post-traumatic stress disorder, the other is called complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And I need my little assistant, Luke. Yeah, okay, so here's Luke. And he will get a shock trauma. Here's our traumatic thingy. So Luke gets shock trauma. It looks like that. So now Luke has shock trauma. Something hit him on the right side of the head. It was too much. He couldn't process what was going on. He couldn't orient himself in the situation. And boom, he's got a shock trauma. His nervous system was totally overwhelmed. So from now on, Luke has learned something about fancy glasses. I don't even know what kind of glasses this is, but fancy glasses. He's learned that fancy glasses usually come from his right. He will be concerned about glasses coming from the right. He will even think about the situation where he was when the glass came from the right. Maybe he was waving his lightsaber. So whenever he thinks of glasses coming from the right, his arm will bend back. Very Twin Peaks. That is post-traumatic stress disorder, specific to something that happened to him right here, and he will have a stress disorder regarding glasses coming from the right. Let's talk about complex post-traumatic stress disorder. We can also call it developmental trauma because C-PTSD usually happens in childhood. It doesn't happen so much in adulthood, but also can. But let's talk about childhood. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder looks like that. Here's the thing. It doesn't stop. Luke has to orient in a world where he already has a bit of a distortion of his perception. He has to look through the glass and still survive and make his life going. That's complex post-traumatic stress disorder. That's the thing. Now, let's make Luke an adult. He went through that. Now he's an adult. He still thinks that the glass is over his head, and he literally still thinks that he has to compensate for the glass being over his head. That is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Luke learned a lot of things that keep him safe in a situation where the glass is over his head, where he has a distorted view of reality, where reality is not even presenting to himself in a way that he can even see reality correctly. That is the complexity about it. And that's the problem about recovery, because there are so many different angles. You have to look at your life in a new way to figure out how exactly it is that you're distorting your own reality.